Blog Talk Radio.
Everybody to the One Fin Nation Sports Show. I am your host, Mr. CJ Sports. Glad to be back in the Carolina Sports Plus studio. Glad to be here on this hump day. It's been a long week. We're only at Wednesday. Had one of my employees at the real job have a meltdown on Thursday night, walked out in the middle of the shift, so I've been pulling doubles pretty much ever since then. Had an assistant manager decide they want to transfer to another store, so short on that aspect as well. And they keep cutting labor, and so it seems I'm the only store that keeps getting the short end of the stick on this. The highest volume, the busiest store with the most customers, most fuel, most sales. And believe it or not, I don't even think top 3 labor hours at this point anymore. So glad to be here. Glad to get to spend this next hour in the Carolina Sports Plus studio talking sports. Get to have my right hand, Mario, in the studio with me, and ready to get him plugged in here. Got a lot of things to jump into. We've got it settled. We know who is going to be in the NBA Finals. We're going to talk about the Eastern Conference Finals. That drug out a lot longer than I think all of us expected after we watched Miami Heat go up 3-0 in the series. And then I got a couple other things I wanted to jump into. A couple questions I got from Mario. A couple things I was thinking about today as we were getting ready for this show, and kind of winding down the basketball season, but we're not quite ready to get into the NFL season. So just grabbing a few things to throw in the bag to talk about a little bit later on. But without any further delay, let's go ahead and get Mario in the studio. Mario, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. How you doing today?
I'm here. I am glad to be here. I am tired. I am worn down between the George Strait, Chris Stapleton concert on Saturday, and then I have a Dustin Lynch, another country artist, concert tomorrow night. Then you follow that up Friday night with a Dayton Dragons game, and then I think Saturday things get to finally slow down. It's been a busy last 7 days on top of everything. How is everything going at your end? And what do you got coming up yourself?
Well, it's going pretty good, Ready to get this rain out the way over here in North Carolina. But we got some good things lined up this weekend. We're going to be at the Hope Fest Carnival down here in Hope County in Rayford, North Carolina. So Carolina Sports Plus is going to be out there selling all types of goodies, you know what I mean, and seeing a Ferris wheel up in the air and seeing the kids run around and seeing the adults spend money, hopefully, you know.
Most definitely. Speaking of Carolina Sports Plus, let them know where they can find Carolina Sports Plus. Physically, website, Facebook, Instagram, whatever you want to throw out there before we jump into some things.
Okay. You can check us out. You can check us out online at CarolinaSportsPlus.com. You can like us on Facebook and Instagram at Carolina Sports Plus. You can like us on YouTube at Carolina Sports Plus. We got a whole bunch of good things going on. We got raffles. We got good sales online. And I'm glad to be back with 110 Nation, Sports Nation.
There we go. I'm looking forward to doing a giveaway. I'm still working out the details of getting a 110 Nation Sports, 110 Nation Sports Cup. The goal is for us, what we're wanting to do here at the 110 Nation is every month, in line with the Carolina Sports Plus shoe giveaway, is be able to give away a cup that's got our logo on it, a nice design cup, a phenomenal cup. Costs us $20 to get our hands of. I have 2 customers that come in every day. Keeps ice solid for hours. It's a great cup. Raffle tickets for you guys to get a chance to win some shoes, and then also give away some of the product that Mario sent me back with. So that's what we're in the works with. I talked to the ladies this week. We're going to work on some things so we can get on the ball and start doing a giveaway once a month of that stuff. Give you guys about a value of about $50 prize about once a month. So trying to get that together. I did see that you was in the studio, and I'm not talking about the Carolina Sports Plus studio.
Oh, yeah.
I'm talking about the 104.5. Did it used to be the Heat? Didn't it used to be something else?
I'm not too for sure, but it used to be something else back in my younger days. But I'm not too for sure. But yeah, I was in the studio. I was at the 104.5 studio, and they want me to come back in 2 weeks, so that's always a good thing, just to talk about, good conversation, sports, and music. So, we're going to be doing that on Tuesday, just something to sprinkle in, pass on the good news. But, yeah, I was in there, talked about sports and what Carolina Sports Plus got going on.
If you guys have not caught that, first of all, if you guys follow his Instagram page, you guys can catch that, or the Carolina Sports Plus fan page as well. Next week's video, there's only one nation. There will be clips of that as well in that for our weekly video. For those that don't subscribe, make sure you guys subscribe to the 110 Nation Sports Radio Network YouTube page. Amongst many other things, one of the things we do is every Saturday we produce a video that kind of highlights throughout the week little clips of what we got going on behind the scene, what we're doing, and this is one of the things that's going to be thrown in there. For those that don't know, I spent 23 years in North Carolina. I want to say it used to be 104.5 The Heat, if I remember correctly. For those that listen to hip-hop, R&B, and rap, you either listen to Foxy 99, it was 99.1 FM, or 104.5, I want to say it was The Beat. And actually, when I first got there, you also listened to it was 107 point something, and that was actually back in the day when after a certain time, I want to say 10 or 11 o'clock, they actually played anything and everything. There was no bleeping. It was all parental advisory music back then, and they finally had to shut that down. But yeah, it blew my mind when I first moved to North Carolina, and you could hear cussing and everything on the radio. But they eventually cut that out. But those were 2 of the stations that we listened to when I was in North Carolina. How did that come about? Do you know the DJ, or is he a customer of yours? How did it come about that you become a kind of a frequent flyer at the 104.5 studios?
It kind of happened maybe about a year and a half ago. But I've been knowing a couple DJs that's been DJing up there. But I got a commercial going. As far as Carolina Sports Plus, and I already had one interview before the last one. It was kind of good little vibe, and he hit me up. The DJ hit me up maybe last week and said if I want to stop in, and came Tuesday, and then I'll be back again in 2 weeks. Me and DJ link back up, and we're gonna do something again in another 2 weeks.
Gotcha. And speaking of being in the 104.5 studio and clips of it, one of the clips I seen was Mario talking about the Boston Celtics and the Miami Heat Eastern Conference Final. Honestly, once the Miami Heat went up 3-0 or even jumped out to a lead, I started questioning if there was even a chance. And there was even points, especially after Game 3, when we watched the Boston Celtics just quit after the third quarter and didn't even try in the fourth quarter. I had little confidence at all that there was a chance at all. And you watch Boston, oh, don't let us win one. Oh, don't let us win two. 1-2. I'm not going to lie. Once we got to where the series was 3-3, I wasn't necessarily so confident, especially Game 7 being in Boston, whether or not that the Boston Celtics were going to make history and the Miami Heat were going to end up being part of history in not such a good way. And for those that don't know, going into this year's Eastern Conference Final, any team that was up 3-0 went on to win. They were 149-0. And then, of course, the LA Lakers went ahead and went down 3-0, becoming the 150th team to lose after being down 3-0 as they were swept. And so here we're sitting 150-0 going into Game 4. Everybody at that point for sure thought Miami was going to go ahead and lock things down. I would say I wasn't necessarily surprised to see Miami lose a game, but I thought maybe it was going to be just one game. Let up, we're going to win this. Let's take it easy kind of thing. I didn't expect this to go to Game 7, which, of course, if Boston would have won this, it would have made history. They would have been the only team to come back from 3-0, and, of course, Miami would have been on the rescinding end of that, being the only team to have a 3-0 lead and end up losing a series. Did you start to have any doubt? Did you start to question whether or not the Miami Heat was going to pull this off?
When it got, I felt the same way. I felt the same way as you did. Once it got to 3-3, you know, and then the stats and the numbers start coming up, and history was talked about. You know, it's always good to, you know, feel good for the underdog. You understand what I'm saying? Even though Miami was clearly the underdog going into Boston, but just Boston being down 0-3 and coming back, you know, and being able to see the opportunity of seeing history and hopefully them getting back to the finals. But it just didn't happen. I feel like they got a lot of holes. Say what?
I was going to say, how crazy was it to know, even when Boston was down 3-0, they were still like the odds favorites to win it all. Like, I think there was only maybe 1 point in this series that Miami might have been the favorite at one point. I don't even know if they were a favorite at any point. But to know that Boston was down 2-0, 3-0, and everybody still had them as the odds favorites to win, even knowing history was against them, that was probably the most craziest thing about this whole Eastern Conference Final thing.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like even though Miami was the underdog and with all the free agents and undrafted players, you know, I can honestly say Boston does have a good, talented team as far as point guard going all the way down to the center and then coming in with the sixth man, you know what I mean? So the overall talent is there. You know what I mean? That's what kept them alive as far as saying, you know, they can win because the talent is there. You know, but I think a lot of people took Miami for granted. Jimmy Butler with the talking in the face, I think that was a big turnaround in the series. You know, if they can rewind things, I bet Williams did. If they could rewind it, I bet Williams would have said what he said going down the court. You understand what I'm saying? Because if he didn't, you know, the series would have been different. But the overall talent is there in Boston. They just let everybody down.
And for those that missed it, at one point in the game, I want to say it was Game 2. It might have been Game 3. Miami Heat, or the Boston Celtics were up by 9 points, and Williams had hit, I want to say it was a three-pointer at that point in time, and decided that it was in his best interest to talk smack all the way down the court in Jimmy Butler's face, who really the only thing he did as he came down the face, he just had this grin, smirk look on his face. And next thing you know, Miami Heat wins the game, and at that point, he thought it was a wrap. We didn't expect Boston to finally come back to a 3-3 series. But, yeah, that was kind of because Jimmy Butler kind of took over the rest of that game and erased that 9-point deficit. And, like I said, we watched Miami go on to win. Do we think it's a time for Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum to split? Is this duo the best fit for the Boston Celtics?
In my opinion, right, I just how it feels. I think Tatum is saying all the good words, as far as publicly as stating that, what I mean, we want him back, but I don't think Brown wants to come back. I think Brown wants his own, I think he's kind of wants the role of being the more dominant, even though Tatum is supposed to be, even with the twisted ankle, I think Brown really does want to go. I think he really does want to spread his wings and see what he can do outside of Boston, but I just don't see why they would separate them. You know what I mean? Just because of how things went. I think they should try to add a couple more pieces, hopefully, but I think, and it comes down to coaching too, because they shoot a lot of threes just to be shooting them. You know what I mean? And obviously that's part of their game plan, and that's something that really needs to be corrected next year. To be honest, more driving, because all they do is shoot is threes.
Now, when it comes to the whole Jaylen Brown thing, I was not impressed in the playoffs. I felt that there was a lot for the Celtics to rethink. I don't think that he lived up to the expectations. I don't think he played at a level that is needed for the Celtics to go to the finals or even win an NBA Finals. So I think it's going to be interesting to see, and it's interesting you brought up that point, because kind of his first thought when you said he wants to be kind of basically the Batman of his own team is that's what ended up killing basically Kyrie's career. Thought he could be the Batman somewhere instead of just staying and being Robin to LeBron and let them continue to win championships in Cleveland. Not that they've won championships in Boston, but honestly, if you ain't got Tatum to carry you, I don't know if Jaylen Brown is good enough to be the Batman and have to carry someone else, because on the days that Jason Tatum had bad games or his ankle hurt or whatever reason you want to throw out there, it's not like Jaylen Brown stepped up and, assumed the role of being the dominant player. It seems like even on the games that Tatum had whatever issues going on or not performing, it seemed like Brown even performed less. So that's going to be interesting. And speaking of the coach, I know there's been a lot of questions throughout the year, and I think the coach was kind of thrown into that position because of the whole scandal of the previous head coach. And when they were down 3-0, I would have said without a doubt that there should be a new head coach. I'd be shocked if he was not relieved of his duties in this offseason. But after watching them come back to a 3-3 series, I'm not going to say that I wouldn't be surprised, but I'm less confident that it's a for sure deal. There's, like I said in last week's show, there's a lot of things that, I'm not going to say a lot of things, there are some things that there's a lot of things that I don't agree with that people got pissed off about. The timeouts, like I said in last week's show, it's easy to play Monday morning quarterback. Well, woulda, shoulda, coulda. Yes, well, if we would have called timeouts, then the momentum would have changed, or we could have called a play, or I don't think it changes anything. One, there's no guarantee you calling a timeout is going to change the momentum. And just because you call a play, yes, statistically you have a better chance of scoring, but it doesn't mean you're going to score. It doesn't mean that the momentum is going to change. All it means is your player's got to sit on the sideline for 30 seconds while you wrote up a play, and that's really the only thing that's guaranteed with you calling a timeout. When it came to that last play of the game, that Marcus Smart didn't end up getting the shot up a half a second earlier, because if he would have got it up a half second earlier, we wouldn't be having this conversation, because Boston would have won the series, and also there would have been a question whether or not there should have been a timeout, a play called, even though the players and the coach all said that was a play that was going to be rolled up anyway. They just didn't call a timeout. They just happened to already know what the play was going to be, and it was more of just lack of execution versus not calling a timeout. I think the only part that I didn't agree with, that I really still have an ill feeling, and I think this may be a big factor into whether or not he has a job next year, is that fourth quarter. That important when it comes to career-wise, fourth quarter when none of your starters even tried. That none of your starters went out there and played. And I'm still very big on this. You should have at least tried halfway through that period. If you didn't chip down the deficit, then yes, go ahead and sit the rest of it out, rest, get ready for the next game. But it is nothing for a team to go on an 18-0 run, a 22-0 run, a 16-2 run, whatever the case may be in the NBA. And you were down, I understand you were down by like 30 points, but you didn't even put an effort to try to get a run with your starting players at home. With your crowd behind you. I have a big issue with the coach not forcing the players to get out there, that everybody just gave up. That is a big deal to me. Outside of that, you can question things, but I'm sorry, unless you're in the heat of the moment, in those predicaments, and you make those decisions, you're really only second-guessing, because you get the privilege of seeing the end result and assume that if you would have made a different choice, the end result would have been different, because you saw what the end result was from the decision of what the head coach made. And we all can do that, and I'm not a fan of that, because that's really not fair, especially the head coach, because anybody can second-guess anybody after it's already happened. But do you think the head coach is going to be there in Boston next year?
I think he stays just because of the contract he signed, mid-season. I don't really see Boston just giving a contract out there and, giving it away after, making to the Eastern Conference Finals, I think they'll probably give him another run. But I think he still has some growing up to do as far as, coaching, when to play players. As far as the timeouts, sometimes, the timeouts to make possession instead of having one possession, you can have two. Just little different things he needs to, work on. Even with the rotation coming in to the Eastern Conference Finals, he changed his lineup, 2 times. You understand what I'm saying? Without nobody being injured, We already made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, and now we're changing lineups. You understand what I'm saying? So obviously that has a factor. That leans with coaching and filling your team out, but. Do they want to play with him? Play for the coach? Maybe that we haven't really heard from the players in general as far as how they felt about the coach. We hear a lot about. You're
exactly.
We haven't heard. Yeah, we haven't really heard anything come out saying, this is the coach that we want to play for. You understand what I'm saying? Just because of how he was thrown into the situation. So we don't really know how the team really feels. Their game plan was shooting threes all the time. So he has some maturing to do, but I think he stays.
I agree. And I never thought about that. And you brought up an interesting fact that none of the players have gone to bat or said that they don't want to play either way. Like, everybody's been quiet. I think that is also a very important factor into whether or not he continues coaching for this team or not, is whether or not the players want to play for him, or whether or not they want to move on. They don't feel that's a good fit. So I definitely agree. I want to say that he's not going to be there, but I don't see anything that really shows me why he shouldn't have another season, a full season, an opportunity. He got an opportunity to learn some things. Maybe he takes what he learned in this season and carries it on to the next season. I just don't, other than that fourth quarter, which that just really sits bad in my mouth. Outside of that, I don't think there was anything that he did or called or didn't call that is the reason why they didn't make it to the finals.
No.
Other than that, and I'm not going to say that fourth quarter would have made a difference. I just don't like the fact that everybody just gave up at home and the game wasn't over. It's just too easy to have long runs. Outside of that, I don't think, and like I said, I'm not going to say that would have made a difference and they would have turned it around. You at least should have tried. But there's nothing that says, well, if he would have done that, they would have went on. Or if he would have done this, they would have won. There's nothing that sticks out that says that was just absolutely the reason, that was horrible. There's none of that. So even though I wouldn't be shocked that if they decide to move on, I also would be I wouldn't be surprised if they brought him back and let him build off and continue the build, the team and the relationship that he has with the team. So we got our Eastern Conference final champion. We got our Western Conference final champion. And at least at my end, there's going to be no disrespect to Jimmy Butler at all. But there's no piece of me at all that thinks that 7 undrafted players, Jimmy Butler, past his prime Kyle Lowry, past his prime Kevin Love, and a 20-year vet that wouldn't even come off the bench for 30 seconds to give his fans what he wanted, Haslam. And there's nothing about that says they're going to beat the Denver Nuggets or even this be a competitive NBA Finals. The only thing that I can hope and pray for is that all the games that are played are not blowout games, that are at least somewhat competitive. But I don't – if this goes past 5 games, I would be shocked.
I feel like honestly, I'm on the Denver train as far as the better overall team. Miami's coming in with momentum. Hype. Postseason success as far as this season. Even last couple postseasons, but as far as this one right here, they got some good momentum. The first game, it's gonna be a test. We're gonna see how the layoff with Denver sweeping the Lakers, all them days off, is that gonna play a factor? Of course. And is Martin gonna keep hitting them big shots? Because Jimmy Butler is good. Jimmy Butler was great, during the moments that he was needed in the game. But as far as overall, Martin played a huge role in the series that he was just in. Hopefully, let's see if he can still stay on track. But Denver is a little bit different than Boston. Denver has a lot more defensive players as far as, with they're deep. They're 8 or 9 deep with Jokic in the middle. If Miami can stay out of foul trouble, hopefully they can stand a chance. But Denver really is a good team. I don't want to take Miami's good run away. So like I said yesterday, I say a 6. Hard 6, maybe 5. But I give them 2 games. They may catch the first one coming out, or they may catch that third one. So I say 4-2.
First of all, they're not catching the first one come out because the Denver Nuggets have had all the rest in the world, but Miami let their series drag out forever. I just the whole matchup. Of course, Tyler Hero may be able to return for this series, which would be a big addition to the Miami Heat. But let's be honest, the Joker and even Aaron Gordon are going to wear down the 100-year-old Al Horford. You got Jamal Murray, who's been playing phenomenal this year in the playoffs. Michael Porter's been stepping up. You got veterans like Jeff Green out there for the Denver Nuggets. I just don't see Kevin Love is not the young Kevin Love that's going to give you – he'll give you minutes, but not the quality minutes that you're going to need at the physicality you're going to need against the Joker or Aaron Gordon. You got 7 undrafted players, and even though there's been different times, different ones have stepped up, you're talking about, 4 easily – all-stars on the Denver Nuggets with Joker, Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, and Porter in these playoffs. I just don't see the matchup faring well for the Miami Heat out the gate, but then the rest factor. The fact that the Denver Nuggets have had basically a whole week just to sit around and kind of get rested up for this and be fresh while Denver's series, drug out as long as it did. I don't see it.
There's some interesting news that just dropped. It's stating that not to get off topic, I understand NBA Finals, but it is kind of interesting just looking at it. It states that Shannon Sharpe has reached a buyout with FS&1 and Undisputed that ends his partnership with Skip Bayless. That's kind of interesting.
It is, and that was one of the topics I eventually wanted to get into. I didn't know if it was going to be today or not. And people in sports, what word am I looking for? Sports heads, sports talk hosts that we like, we don't like. And this is going to be a conversation on one of our shows. Because there's a couple of them I just can't stand. And Skip Bayless is one of them that I just can't stand. But I'm not surprised. I really, honestly, ever since that whole what was that tweet that Skip Bayless did? I forget the incident
about boy with the heart attack on the field.
Yes. Ever since then, you kind of knew that was the beginning of the end. Shannon Sharpe did not play with that. And I didn't think they were going to make miss. I honestly, at that point, I thought that was the end of it. I did not. And Shannon Sharpe bit his tongue, was the bigger man of it, and went ahead on and did his job. But I am honestly surprised it took to this long for them to go to separate ways after that, because I'm not surprised. Say that.
Yeah, I'm not surprised either. You know what I mean? One thing that Skip Bayless gets away with, being a great, not want to say great reporter, but a good reporter during his time with the Bulls. You understand what I'm saying? Because he had so much access around Chicago, that really gave him a good name. You understand what I'm saying? But as far as the overall, package of Skip Bayless, he kind of jumps in the spaces or talks about spaces that he really don't need to talk about just because he's never been an athlete. You understand? That's where I get where, with Stephen A. Smith, him, they get real loose with their tongues when it comes to, athletes and talking about them. I understand everybody has their own opinion, just like we have our opinion on this show. But they sometimes they get to reach in where it kind of makes them look, kind of bad, And with Shannon Sharpe got history. He's a Hall of Fame tight end. We physically, no matter the age group now, we seen a light of Shannon Sharpe. From the people that's our age or older. We saw him play with Baltimore. We saw him play with Denver. And with the younger crowd, they saw him play at the end and maybe retire and then jump into all this. You understand what I'm saying? Yes, Shannon Sharpe sometimes, as far as basketball, he's a LeBron fan. He's going to root for Bron. He got his back.
Yeah.
So, of course,
speaking of which, you see that little beef he's got with, what was that, one of Kobe's ex-teammates, Brown or whatever, and him and his little Instagram talking about calling Sharpe a fanboy and all that.
Fanboy. Yeah, you can check that out at Carolina Sports Plus. Yeah, definitely. That was definitely.
Is that where I saw that? Was on your stuff?
Yeah. It was kind of non-filtered. You understand what I'm saying? ESPN or different networks can play what he said. You understand what I'm saying? But just overall, hearing it physically, what he said and how he said it was very, very, very entertaining. Was some points of it true? You can honestly say it was. You understand what I'm saying? But his comedian about it, calling him out his name, and going all in on him, it was funny. But honestly, the more you think about it, it was true. There's no harm with Shannon Sharpe. Sometimes we make a mistake. Sometimes we get joked on. Sometimes people joked on him. This is just the right time where I felt like Kwame Brown was right in this scenario, because all he did say was LeBron James doesn't have any really go-to moves. You know what I mean? So it was very entertaining.
Which is funny because this kind of transitions perfectly into another topic that I wanted to talk to, another big topic. And talking about fanboy, and I tell you what, this whole LeBron, Michael Jordan thing, and I talked about this on the early drive. For those that don't catch it, make sure that you guys check out our YouTube channel, the 110 Nation Sports Radio Network. I try to do it every morning. There's not always a topic every morning, and I've hit it every day this week. And my drive-in between 2 and 4 in the morning, I have nothing else better to do in my 15-minute drive. So I usually have thoughts to myself and kind of talk to myself on the way in to entertain myself on the way in. Even though I'm going up 75 and everything else, usually at that time frame, there's hardly anybody out. Well, I've taken this opportunity to do videos, and we call it the early drive. And Monday morning was talking about LeBron James and Michael Jordan. And I think we briefly talked about, or we did talk about this last week, the insanity of this whole debate, especially now that LeBron was swept out of the Western Conference Championship. And so this is one of the topics I got into. I got into a NASCAR topic one of the other mornings, and I forget what I got into Tuesday mornings. I think this morning was the NASCAR topic. I forget what Tuesday morning was about anyway. It might have been, I think it was the Boston, Miami stuff. But anyway, everybody has their goats unquote. I'm not going to say everybody, because I don't. I literally hate the GOAT conversation because unless you watch all these who you consider to be great play at the same time, at the same competition, on the same rules, under the same all scenarios, COVID and everything else, you can't have a legitimate or a literal GOAT conversation because things are different for whatever reason. I firmly believe that Jordan was the best at his time. There was a stint that Kobe was the best at his time. LeBron took over being the best at his time. And honestly, I don't know if I would be still willing to put anybody in front of LeBron at this point. Even 20 years into the league, he is still probably the best, if not second best. Maybe you could put Giannis in there, maybe KD if you want to, but LeBron's still top 3 easily in all-time, at this point in time, greats at the current time. But anyway.
Yeah.
I was sitting there thinking to myself earlier today, in spite of the whole conversation. Say we got an opportunity. Now, I will admit that I've had a little bit more. I didn't put a lot of thought into it now. I took a shower at 7:30, mind frame, so I might have had 15 minutes more to think about this than you did, and I sprung this on nobody. Mario did not know that I'm coming up with this today. But I've not really put more thought into it. Say you are... I'm not gonna necessarily say an agent. Say you have an agency, and you have an opportunity, and it's where I've not put a lot of thought in because I don't know who my second person would be necessarily, or who's the third person, and you'll know what I'm saying here in a minute. Say you have an agency, and you are basing your agency future, the success of it, how you, your children, your children's children, your children's children, on down, get to live wealthy the rest of their life or not wealthy the rest of their life. You get to start off with 3 players. You get to start off with 2 great players who you feel would best build your business or best build your agency, and you're also got to bet on one player that is now current, a future player, someone that is maybe no more than 2-3 years into whatever league that you are, whatever league they're in. So, your Josh Allen's or your, and just drew a blank, I can see his face, Mahomes, Lamar Jackson's, or, anybody, baseball, hockey, whatever the case may be. Who would your 3 people be that you would build what they, to them you get the opportunity to already know their success, what they meant to their sport. And I'll go first. I'll throw out my first one. If I was an agency and I'm building my entire legacy, my base in my future, my number one go-to would be Tiger Woods. What he did for golf, what he did to put Nike on golf, I would say the seats he filled, but there's not necessarily seats, but the standing people that were at golfing tournaments all the time when he was in his prime was phenomenal. Something we had never seen before. We will never see again. We don't even see now. We'll see a bump in popularity when he's trying to give it another run at it. I think he's done. I think he's trying to hold on to something and wants to go out on top. I think if he makes one good solid run at it and wins some tournaments and gets maybe ranked good, he would call it quits. And I think that's the only thing he's hanging on to, is he doesn't want to go out the way he's having to go out. I think it's done. But if I had my first pick on out of these 3 people to build my agency, what they meant to the sport, what they did to the popularity of the sport, the sponsors, the television coverage, even the barriers. Let's talk the fact that there was hardly any black golfers ever. Tiger Woods entered the scene, and there's black golfers and Hispanic golfers and Chinese golf, you name it. There's everything. Tiger Woods would be my number one person that I would build my agency around. Who would you be your first pick?
No, Tiger. I'm not. That's one great player, one great golfer you name as far as number one, and there's no doubt that Tiger Woods is definitely on my top 3. But there's no way that I'm not taking Michael Jordan. Even though, yes, I am a Michael Jordan fan. Yes, I did watch him, win all his championships. But the overall value that he brings, that he done brought to NBA, shoes, basketball, from the Coke commercials, from the McDonald's commercials, to the Gatorade commercials, to his own shoe commercials. You understand what I'm saying? I'm taking Michael Jordan, but I can honestly say that Tiger Woods will be number 2. So,
like Mike,
but first
I want to be like Mike. I want to be like Mike.
Exactly. I remember watching little DVDs of VHS tapes.
I probably, honestly, Jordan would probably be number 2 on my list. But out of sportsmanship of this, I don't want us to have repetitive players or repetitive athletes. I'm going to go to different angles. Jordan probably would be number 2. And honestly, LeBron should probably be number 3, but I'm going to go outside the box for this just because. I'm going to go with, and I despise this athlete with every fiber in my body. To this day, I even dislike his son still because of this athlete. Dale Sr. What he has done for NASCAR. 7 championships, 22 years after his death. And we still compare everybody to Dale Sr. and what he has done for that sport, the merchandise, the rules, everything. I would be willing to put and that is the oddest 2 to build a franchise agency around. Tiger Woods, the black golfer, and Dale Jr. or Dale Sr., the most country white driver there is, to be my 2 that's going to be together. But yeah, I would build. You're talking an icon. You're talking probably the biggest driver to ever race in NASCAR. I would take him just out of the box. Now I know that Jordan would probably be if I was just going and doing it without just trying to be repetitive, and LeBron should probably be my number 2. But I want to go outside the box for a minute, and I want to take a gamble that what he has meant to that sport and what he still means to that sport today, and the conversations that people still have about that man today. I'm gonna go with Dale Sr.
Okay, that's a good one. That's a good one. I kind of thought about you this weekend when I actually watched a little bit of Coca-Cola 600. You know what I mean? Just trying to bring adversity to our topics. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But as far as NASCAR, I do have, as far as being a black man, I do have times where I have watched NASCAR. You understand what I'm saying? I wouldn't say I sat there and watched the whole race. I sat there and I don't watch plenty of half the races. You understand what I'm saying? But as far as my NASCAR driver, I used to like Jeff Gordon. When he was out there, that was my driver. Now, if racing was on, I would be locked in to Jeff Gordon. And the only reason why I'm saying Jeff Gordon is just to step out the box. Of course, I would have picked Tom Brady, maybe. As far as I wouldn't pick him as my second pick. I would pick him as my third behind Tiger Woods. But just to step out the box, since you did racing, I wanted to do racing too. But I will honestly say I always been a Jeff Gordon fan during that time.
Now, so in all actuality, we would have done the same. We would have done Jordan and Tiger Woods. So I think we would be sitting real well. And even with a Jeff Gordon and a Dale Sr., we're sitting really good still anyway.
Yeah.
And true story. And one, I was a Gordon fan when he used to drive the number 1 car in the Busch Grand National days back before it became the Nationwide Series, Xfinity Series. I was one of those. I got tired of seeing the same person win. To me, NASCAR is a little bit different than any other sport. I could watch, or I wish I could watch, the Browns win every weekend because there's still, 14 or 13 other games or whatever many other games are going on. In NASCAR, you only got one race. I don't want to watch the same person win every weekend because I only got one race to watch. And so I became a Gordon fan before he came in the Cup Series. Then I got tired of watching him all the time, so I became a Jimmy Johnson fan. Of course, what happens? Jimmy Johnson becomes a winner all the time, and so I got tired of watching him win all the time. Then I became a rowdy Kyle Busch fan, and I don't get tired of watching him win all the time because he does the whole bow, pretty much saying F you, so I find it entertaining. But I have a friend, Devlin Sherrod. I call him Teletubby. He's a really heavy-set black guy, and he's a Baltimore Ravens fan. And so anytime he wears his Baltimore Ravens jersey, I call him the Purple Teletubby. He hates it when I call him that. But anytime we comment back and forth on Facebook or anything about, hey, Teletubby, and he's like, you're Teletubby. But he used to come in when we have, like on the weekends, I worked at Brooklyn Pizzeria in Fayetteville in the Utah Shopping Center. He would come in and make fun of the NASCAR race being on the race on Sunday. So I'm like, left turn. And he had an opportunity to go with me. I went ahead and took him with me when the truck series came back to Rockingham, the Rock, right there, right outside Southern Pines, and he went with me. And he thought, hands down, that was one of the coolest things that he had ever got to do. No longer did I have to hear the left-hand joke. And as a matter of fact, that next season, he actually bought us all-star race tickets for the race at Charlotte for me and him to go to. And he became a NASCAR fan after that. He used to make fun. All I would hear is left turn, because I was a comedian. He used to do it, trying to be funny. Now let's go with an up-and-coming. I'm going to have to go a little more easy on this one because I went outside the box with my Dale Sr., even though I feel very confident in the merchandising and the copyrights and everything that I would have gotten paid as an agency off the Dale Sr. stuff. I want to go ahead and feel very secure in my kids, and my kids' kids, and my kids' kids, or I guess that would be my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren's future. A star an athlete that's still at the beginning of their career that I feel that I would make a lot of money off of. I'm going to go with Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, most definitely.
I'm going to take the easy one on that one.
Yeah.
What athlete that you got? I'm assuming the Patrick Mahomes would be an easy one for you as well. Try to think outside the box on a young athlete that you'd be willing to throw in there to secure your children, your grandchildren's future there.
With you taking Patrick Mahomes, as far as the NBA, without the Curry, he's in the LeBron James era, so I want to say that NBA is kind of tricky. You can go with Cincinnati, Burrow, but he ain't really winning, but he does a good job losing. You understand what I'm saying? So he has a good game. He has a good game with him. But kind of hard as far as off the head. I would say step out the box. I would say Judge from the Yankees. I think
there you go.
With Judge doing what he did last year for New York, and then actually signing back with New York and breaking Babe Ruth and all them records they got up there. That's been up there for a long time. I feel like he can still take it to another level. As far as what he got going on now. So I would say Judge out the Yankees.
Aaron Judge. Got you. I like that. I think anyway we went, we would be sitting real good, and I think our children and our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren and our great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren would be loving us right now if that was ever the case. But honestly, I think it would probably boil down to Jordan, Tiger Woods, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, maybe Aaron Judge, and maybe one other person if we were just trying to think outside of the box, even with the Jeff Gordon and Dale Sr. and what they've done in their sport respectively, and Jeff Gordon still doing in the sport as a VP or president or whatever he is of Hendrick Motorsports. You're still sitting really good, and his part ownership of Hendrick Motorsports and the 48 team and everything he's got going on. We got a few minutes to get things wrapped up. Phenomenal show. Had a great time. I want to throw a few things out there before we get wrapped up. Make sure that you guys go over to www.the110 Nation Sports Radio Network. There you can catch our blogs, our shows, our schedules, marketing partners, videos, you name it. And also you can catch the links to all the different platforms we are on. If it be iHeartRadio, Spotify, iTunes, Spreaker, Blog Talk Radio, Google Podcasts, Podchaser, YouTube, you name it. There's a tab for you to click on and send you over that you can then therefore follow the show over there on those platforms. Or if you just want to go to those platforms, say you have iHeartRadio on your phone or Spotify on your phone, if you just Google the 110 Nation, it'll take you there. Follow the show. That way you can catch our shows on those platforms. Don't forget to make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, the 110 Nation Sports Radio Network. We are all working very hard of producing content, building this network so we can continue to upgrade and have bigger and better things going on here at the 110 Nation and continue to expand. I will be personally tomorrow night at the Phrase, the Phrase Pavilion. It's the K99 for anybody that's local to me, the Dayton, Ohio area. K99's 34th birthday bash. We got tickets to that. We will be out there. Friday night, we'll be at the Day Air Ballpark for the Dayton Dragons, a high A affiliation of the Cincinnati Reds. Next weekend, I will be in North Carolina. I get in Friday night. It'll probably be a later evening tonight arrival. We'll hang out with the daughter, the grandson, do all that stuff on Saturday. Sunday, Mario and myself are actually going to meet up. We're going to shoot a couple promo videos to have a couple things to put on Facebook to promote the show, promote the network and everything. So looking forward to that and be making my way back down. Mario, between now and next Wednesday's show, do you have anything you have going on to throw out there?
Oh, yes, most definitely. We'll be, for all the local listeners that's around my area, we'll be at the Hope Fest and Carnival starting tomorrow all the way through the 11th. You know, depending on the weather, we'll be out there on the good days. You know, on the rainy days, we ain't going to be out there. But I would like to give a shout-out to Angel Munoz. He got some good things coming on soon. You know, he's a good boxer out of Spring Lake. So I definitely want to give a shout-out to him. But overall, have a great weekend, and see you next week.
All right, before we get out of here, though, we got some things to take care of. Let them know where they can find Carolina Sports Plus, physically, Facebook, websites, all that stuff.
Okay, you can check us out at CarolinaSportsPlus.com. You can like us on Facebook, Instagram. You can check us out on YouTube. And like you said, we got some good raffles going on. That'll be on the 9th. And we'll be out there vending at the Hope Festival and Carnival tomorrow all the way through the 11th.
Also, Tuesday nights on the 110 Nation Sports Radio Network, you guys can catch Race Chat Live, 8 o'clock. Phenomenal show last night. I'm working on some clips from that show. We will get them on our YouTube channel, so you get to catch different clips, see what you like, see if you guys want to tune in for a show on Tuesday night. Also, Taz the Tasmanian. He has the 110 Nation Racing Experience Series. Will be making his debut on the 110 Nation Sports Radio Network YouTube channel Monday night. It's a 6-race series. It's basically like an iRace simulated series. It had good reviews and a lot of attraction the first time he did a few things with it. So we got 12 drivers. I will be in one of the cars. Mario is in one of the cars. We'll be simulating one of the cars. We're going to see how the story unfolds and see how the races. There's going to be 2 heats and a feature, 6 different tracks. We're looking to see how the drama and the points and the racing unfolds. So looking forward to that. But you guys can catch that starting June 5th every Monday night for the 6-race series season. Make sure you guys like us on Facebook, the 110 Nation Sports, our Instagram, the _110 Nation, or 110 _Nation. So make sure you guys check that out as well on Twitter at 110 Nation. We will be back here next Wednesday night. We'll be talking NBA Finals, and then we're going to start working our way into the NFL as we're starting to get more and more headlines, such as DeAndre Hopkins and where he's going to land. The insanity that Lamar Jackson thinks he's going to throw the ball more, or at least be accurate with it, and more topics. So we're getting closer to the NFL season, so there's going to be more in the works with that as well. NHL season's wrapping up, and baseball season's getting ready to get hot and heavy. I've seen some interesting plays and some interesting things as we're going to get into that as well. So looking forward to being back here next Wednesday night, 8 o'clock, right here on the 110 Nation Sports Radio Network. Trying to think if there's anything else before we get wrapped up. I think that knocks everything out. Like I said, make sure you guys subscribe to the YouTube channel. And until next time.